The sun rose slowly over the kingdom of Bantu, casting long golden rays over the red earth and the distant hills that cradled the land. But the light could not chase away the darkness that had settled over the people. Bantu had once been a place of music, of laughter in the market square, of drums echoing through the night in celebration. Now it was quiet. Too quiet smoke curled into the air from far-off villages that had been attacked. Fields lay empty, their crops burnt or stolen. The people whispered of raiders, of cursed beasts roaming the forests of betrayal within the palace walls. And above it all, sat Queen Malika on the stone throne of her ancestors. Her heart heavy, her crown too large for a woman so young. She had not been meant to rule, not like this. Her father, King Okoi, had died suddenly. Some said poisoned. Her elder brother, Prince Jabari, had vanished into the night 3 years ago and was presumed dead. And now the burden of the throne had fallen on her shoulders at just 22. Malika ruled a kingdom on the edge of collapse. Every day reports came in from her generals and scouts. Villages burned, children kidnapped. The council grew restless, demanding she marry a foreign king who promised peace. But Malika refused. Her heart told her that the answer was not in alliance, but in strength. Still, strength was hard to find when fear had settled into every crack of the kingdom. It was on one such morning that everything began to change. A messenger ran into the throne room, dusty and out of breath. He fell to his knees before the queen. "Your Majesty, the eastern border. We were ambushed again. Chief Boja's village is under attack." Malika stood at once, her white robe flowing behind her like wings. "How many soldiers can we send?" "Your Majesty," said General Kazomo grimly, "all available forces are protecting the northern trade routes. If we stretch thinner, the capital will be left open." Malika clenched her jaw. Her eyes swept the room, searching for an answer. There was none until the palace doors opened on their own. A breeze, strange and sudden, swept into the chamber. The guards stepped forward, hands on their spears. From night, the shadows walked a figure tall, cloaked in a dark robe, face hidden behind an intricate mask carved from ebony and bone. The mask was neither friendly nor frightening. It was unreadable, like the face of the wind itself. The stranger stopped before the queen and bowed deeply. "Who dares enter unannounced?" Kasomo barked, "Speak your name." But the figure said nothing. Instead, he turned to Queen Malika and knelt. "I come not with a name," the stranger said, his voice deep and calm, "but with a purpose." Malika's eyes narrowed. "And what is that purpose?" "To save your kingdom." A hush fell over the court. Chisom stepped forward. "This is madness." "Guards seize wait," Malika said, lifting a hand. She studied the stranger. The mask glinted slightly in the light, and for a moment she thought she saw a glimmer of something in his eyes. Something familiar. "You say you want to save Bantu," she said slowly. "Then prove it. Go to Chief Boja's village. Help them. If you return alive and with victory, then I will hear you out." The stranger stood without hesitation. "I will return." And just like that, he turned and walked away. Later that day, the sky darkened over the eastern horizon. From the hilltop near the village, smoke rose again. But this time, it wasn't from destruction. It was the final smoldering of an enemy camp. Chief Boja himself rode to the capital 2 days later, bloodied and breathless. "The masked man," he said, gripping Malika's hand. "He fought like 10 warriors. He saved us. He saved my son. He left before dawn without a word." Whispers spread like fire. Who was the masked man? A lost warrior, a forest spirit in human form. Some said he was a god, others a ghost. Queen Malika said nothing, but she watched the horizon each evening. waiting for the moment he would return. And he did, just as silently as he came before. The masked stranger appeared again at the palace gates. This time, he carried the flag of the defeated raiders, stained and torn. He bowed before Malika again. "I have kept my word." Malika stood. "So you have? Now, I must keep mine." The council protested. They didn't trust him. He had no name, no past. Some feared he was a spy sent by a rival kingdom. Others said he was cursed, but Malika silenced them all. For too long, she declared, "We have been afraid." But this man, masked and unknown, did what our own could not. He brought back hope. She made him her royal protector. And so began the legend of the masked stranger. He became a ghost on the battlefield, appearing when least expected, defending the helpless, defeating enemy forces with strategy and skill. Villagers would leave food at the edge of forests, hoping to catch a glimpse. Children carved masks from wood and played stranger and bandits under the moon. Still, no one knew his face, not even Malika. But late at night, when she stood alone on the palace balcony, she wondered. He knew the palace grounds too well. He moved like someone who had once belonged. And one night, as she turned to leave, she found him waiting in the shadows. "You watch the stars," he said softly. "They remind me of my father," she replied. He used to say that even when we are lost, the stars show us the path home. There was silence for a while. "I am not what I seem," he said quietly. "Neither am I." She answered. In that moment, something unspoken passed between them. A thread, a connection. But neither dared tug it, not yet. That same night, a vision came to Malika in her sleep, a dream of her brother, Jabari, standing in a forest, calling out to her. The next morning, a scout brought news. A strange symbol had been found carved into a tree deep in the royal hunting grounds. The same symbol that Jabari wore on his necklace. Malika's heart pounded. And when she turned to find the masked stranger for advice, he was gone again, vanished like a whisper on the wind. But something had shifted. The kingdom of Bantu had been given a breath of hope, and in the shadows, the stranger watched, waiting, protecting, hiding a truth that once revealed would shake the kingdom to its very roots. The kingdom of Bantu slowly began to breathe again. Villages once emptied by fear had started to welcome back their people. Smoke no longer choked the skies. Children played in the streets again, and the marketplace hummed with cautious laughter. Though wounds still bled beneath the surface, Queen Malika and her people had something they hadn't had in years: hope. And at the center of it all was the masked stranger. He moved through the kingdom like a spirit never lingering too long. In one place, when bandits attacked the southern farms, he was there before the guards. When a storm broke the river dam, threatening to drown the crops, he arrived with rope and wood, coordinating villagers with uncanny leadership. People called him many things: the spirit warrior, the ebony mask, the watcher. But no one knew his name, no one saw his face. And the palace council didn't like that. In the royal chamber, a storm of voices raged. "We cannot trust him," said Elder Muta, slamming his staff on the floor. "What king hides behind a mask? What warrior avoids his past? He saved hundreds," Queen Malika countered. "He protected the kingdom when no one else could. He could be a spy." Another council member hissed. "A man with no name can become anyone. What if he's gathering our secrets to bring us down later?" Malika rose from her throne, her voice calm but commanding. "And what if he's exactly who we need?" The council fell into a heavy silence. Still, doubts lingered. Rumors spread. The stranger's shadowed presence both comforted and unnerved the court. That night, Malika stood alone in the palace gardens, lit only by torches and moonlight. As always, he found her there, You've made powerful people nervous," she said without turning. "Power listens to fear louder than reason," the stranger replied. She glanced at him. "Why not take off the mask and prove them wrong?" He was quiet for a moment because the truth beneath it isn't ready. Before she could ask what he meant, a guard stumbled into the garden. "Your Majesty, news from the north. A beast. A creature unlike any we've seen before. It has, already, destroyed 2 villages. The soldiers are afraid to fight it." Queen Maleka nodded. "Send word to General Kasomo. And prepare horses." The stranger stepped forward. "I'll go." Maleka met his gaze, or what little she could see through the mask. "You'll need help. I don't fight alone," he said softly, "but I travel best that way." By dawn, he was gone. The creature from the north was not mere myth. It was massive, dark-skinned beast with ivory horns, red eyes, and a roar that could split stone. Born of ancient forest magic, it had been twisted by hatred and pain. When the stranger arrived, the villagers were preparing to flee again. Their homes were half-burnt, crops lay trampled. Children wept behind doors. The masked man walked straight into the forest. Alone, it took 2 days and 2 nights. No one saw what happened. But on the 3rd morning, the beast was found dead, its heart pierced with a spear. And beside it, the stranger lay unconscious, bloodied, and broken. Villagers carried him back to the capital. For the first time, the people of Bantu saw him vulnerable. And still, the mask remained. In the palace infirmary, Maleka sat beside his bed. "You risk your life for a kingdom that doubts you," she whispered. "Who are you, truly?" He stirred, eyes flickering open. "A man who lost his home, now trying to rebuild it." That night, the council gathered again. "You see," Elder Muta said, "he bleeds like any man, and we still know nothing of him." "But the people love him," another replied. "They chant his name, whatever name they've given him." Maleka stood. "I believe he deserves to stay. But if it eases your fear, I will order a search for his past. If we can't trust his face, we will learn his story." The council agreed. Secret scouts were sent across the kingdom to dig through records, listen to whispers, and uncover anything about a man with no name but a heart of gold. Meanwhile, the masked stranger recovered. He walked the palace halls. Once more slowly now, leaning slightly with a limp, but with the same quiet strength. One evening, as he walked past the royal library, he paused. He heard a voice inside. It was Queen Maleka, reading aloud to herself. A childhood story, one of the old folk tales. He leaned against the doorframe, listening. "Do you believe in destiny?" she asked without turning. "I believe in choices," he replied. "And how we bear the weight of them." She looked back at him. "What choices have you borne?" He didn't answer. Instead, he walked into the library and handed her a folded cloth. Inside it was a necklace, a simple piece of leather string, with a wooden carving shaped like a lion's head. Her eyes widened. This belonged to my brother. I found it in the forest," he said. "You've been to the place where he vanished." He nodded. "There's more than you know, but you must wait. The truth is not ready." That night, Maleka couldn't sleep. She held the necklace to her chest and prayed to the ancestors. Something deep inside her stirred memories of childhood, of laughter, of a brother's hand holding hers as they ran through the gardens, and a feeling she could not name. The scouts returned days later. Some found dead ends. Others brought clues. A boy once trained in secret combat near the southern mountains. A youth who lived in the palace but disappeared the night of the king's death. A stolen record erased from history. And then came the most shocking discovery. A tunnel hidden deep beneath the palace. Old, sealed with stone, marked with royal symbols. Only someone who had once lived there could know of it. The stranger had used it. The guards found his footprints, and a single candle burned at the end of the corridor beside a faded family portrait. The portrait of King Okoi, Queen Nabala, Princess Malika, and Prince Jabari. The stranger's eyes. They were the same. The truth rippled through the kingdom like a wave. Could it be? Was the masked stranger the lost prince? Malika summoned him to the throne room. She stood before him, held the necklace in her palm, and looked into his eyes. "Tell me, are you my brother?" The stranger said nothing, but slowly, painfully, he removed the mask, and Malika gasped. The mask fell to the ground with a dull thud, echoing through the vast hall like the breaking of a spell. Queen Malika stared at the face revealed to her. The face of a man grown, weathered by years and battles, but undeniably familiar. The sharp cheekbones, the curved jawline, the depth in his eyes, they were her brothers. But where once there had been youthful mischief, now there was only pain and fire. She stumbled back, her hand clutching the lion pendant he had returned to her days before. "Jabari ... she whispered, voice cracking. He didn't speak. He just looked at her, letting the truth settle between them like dust and sunlight. It had been 3 years. 3 years since he disappeared the night their father died. 3 years since she had wept into her pillows, believing she had lost him forever. Why? She finally asked, "Why did you leave? Why didn't you come back to me?" Jabari, no longer the nameless stranger, closed his eyes, grief passing through him like a shadow. "That night," he began, "I overheard the council speaking. I wasn't supposed to, but I heard them plotting, not just against father, but against me. They wanted me dead, to seize power. I ran to warn him, but I was too late." He took a breath, voice lower now. "They tried to kill me too. I fled, hid in the forests. The elders found me, those who still believed in the true crown. They healed me, trained me, and I made a vow. I would not return until I could protect you, until I could protect the kingdom without a title." Malika sank onto the steps beside the throne, trembling. "All these years," she said, "you were alive. And you became a queen," he said gently. "A strong one. Better than I could have been." "No," she said, shaking her head. "You don't know what I've been through." "I do," he said. "I watched." The doors burst open behind them. General Kisomo entered, sword drawn. Behind him came the palace guards and Elder Muta. "Seize him," Muta cried. "He's an imposter, a traitor." "Stop," Malika shouted, standing. But Muta was furious. "He infiltrated our palace under false identity. He stole the trust of the people. Who's to say he didn't arrange all of this? The raids, the attacks. He could be the one behind everything." The guards hesitated. Jabari stood still, calm, unarmed. Malika stepped between him and the spears. "He is my brother," she declared, "the rightful prince of Bantu." But Muta's eyes gleamed with something darker now. A secret finally exposed. He laughed. Your brother died years ago. This is trickery. This is lies," Jabari said. "The same lies you whispered into the ears of the court. The same lies you fed our father before he died." Muta's smile vanished. The room went silent. Malika looked at him, her face hardening. "You were the one who plotted against my father." Elder Muta raised his voice in panic. "You dare accuse me? I am the council's head." "You are a traitor," Jabari said, stepping forward, his voice like thunder. "And now, your time is up." Before the guards could move, a blast of smoke exploded in the room. Screams echoed through the chamber. From the shadows emerged cloaked figures, Muta's private militia. hidden and loyal only to him. Blades flashed. Chaos erupted. Jabari grabbed Malaka's arm and pulled her behind the throne as fighting broke out in the hall. He moved with the grace of a warrior, disarming 2 attackers in seconds, using nothing but speed and instinct. Kazomo, loyal to the crown, fought at Jabari's side. The battle raged through the palace corridors, loyal guards against Muta's conspirators. As Jabari fought, he saw not just survival in his sister's eyes, but fury. She was no longer just the queen of Bantu. She was a warrior. Together, they drove the traitors from the inner halls. Blood stained to the golden rugs, but the heart of the palace still beat strong. By dawn, Elder Muta was captured. He was dragged into the throne room in chains, his power gone, his lies uncovered. He spat at their feet. "You think this ends with me," he growled. "You think the nobles will accept him back? That your people will rejoice in a prince who wears a mask?" Malika stood tall. "They will rejoice in the truth," she said, "because it has been buried too long." She turned to the guards. "Take him to the dungeons. He will answer for his crimes in full daylight." As Muta was dragged away, Jabari turned to the royal court. The nobles stood unsure, muttering. He did not address them. Instead, he looked at the people, those who had come from the village to witness the truth. "My name," he said, "is Jabari, son of Okoi, rightful heir to Bantu. I do not seek a crown. I do not seek power. I only seek justice and peace." He looked to Malika. "My sister rules this kingdom. I only protect it." The crowd murmured. And then, slowly, one by one, they began to kneel, not to Jabari, to Malika, and to the idea that perhaps 2 protectors were better than 1. Later that evening, as the sun set over the palace gardens, Jabari and Malika sat beneath the old baobab tree where they had once played as children. "Do you think Father would be proud of us?" she asked quietly. "I think," Jabari replied. "He never doubted us for a second." Malika looked at the mask beside him. "You don't need it anymore," she said. "I do," he smiled. "Not for me, but for what it represents, the unknown. Protector, the one who watches when others sleep. Let me be that." And so, the legend of the masked stranger continued. Even though his face had been revealed to his sister and those closest to the truth, the people still saw him in the shadows. He wore the mask again, and the kingdom slept easier because of it. But danger was never far. In the distance, foreign war drums beat. And someone watched Bantu with envious eyes. And Jabari was ready. Peace is a fragile thing in a kingdom like Bantu. Though the traitor Elder Muta was imprisoned and the truth about Prince Jabari revealed, the echoes of betrayal still lingered in the palace halls. The court, though silenced, was not entirely. 1. Whispers crawled like ants through the noble houses. Some whispered of restoration, others of rebellion. But outside the palace, the people sang. They sang of the masked warrior who stood beside their queen. They hung carved masks on their doors and painted them on the walls of their huts. Children imitated his movements in the street. The legend had grown beyond one man. It had become a symbol. And that was exactly what the enemy feared. One morning, before the sun rose, a horn sounded from the eastern wall. It was not a usual warning horn. It was deep, heavy, unfamiliar by the time Queen Malika reached the watchtower. Smoke was already rising in the distance. A soldier ran to her side. "Your Majesty, it's not raiders this time." "Then who?" He looked pale. "An army? Foreign. Flying black banners." Malika's blood turned to ice. From the cliffs beyond the river came a marching force, hundreds strong. Soldiers in dark armor, weapons not of Bantu. Their leader rode atop a white beast. flanked by banners bearing a jagged crown mark of the Kingdom of Nundu, Bantu's old rival to the east. They had not attacked in decades, until now. General Kizomo arrived dressed in full armor. "They've been watching," he said grimly. "Waiting. They must have heard about the unrest. They think we're weak." Malika's voice was steady. "Then we'll show them we are not." Jabari stood beside her, wearing his mask again. "They've timed it perfectly," he said. "They waited for our enemies within to fall before attacking from without. If we don't hold them here, the capital will burn." The council gathered, and for the first time, they did not question his place in the war chamber. He spoke with clarity, commanding respect. His strategies were sharp, shaped by years of survival and secrecy. Still, Malika noticed a shadow in his eyes. That night, he stood at the edge of the balcony. Watching the campfires of the enemy flicker on the horizon, she joined him. "Will you stay by my side?" she asked. "Always," he said. "Mama, I must go." "What?" "There is something I must retrieve. Something left in the forest long ago. I cannot face the battle without it." "You mean your sword?" she asked. He shook his head. "My soul." He left before dawn, riding alone. 3 days passed. The enemy grew bolder, crossing rivers, torching border farms. The city gates were reinforced. Archers were posted on the towers. Panic crept through the lower districts. On the 4th day, the enemy arrived at the gates. Their leader, a man draped in chains of gold and feathers, called out to Malika across the field. "Surrender your throne," he shouted, "or we take it by fire." Malika stood firm atop the wall. Her people lined the battlements behind her. "No," she said, her voice echoing over the land. "Come and see what fire meets when it touches iron." That night, just as the first siege engine rolled forward, a rumble rose from the southern ridge. Atop a black horse, against the crimson horizon, rode the masked stranger. He returned, dressed in a dark leather armor etched with a royal lion, his blade curved like a crescent moon. And behind him rode warriors, not palace guards, not trained soldiers, but the forgotten ones. Nomads from the desert, hunters from the forests, freed prisoners, exiled warriors, people he had helped. People who believed. The people of Bantu had answered his call. Together, they rode into battle under the falling stars. The clash was brutal. Steel against steel. Arrow against shield. Fire against flesh. But Jabari fought with the fury of a storm. He moved like wind and shadow, cutting through the enemy ranks. His mask glowed faintly in the moonlight, turning him into something more than human. At one point, the enemy general reached the palace walls, striking down 3 guards. He raised his axe toward Malaika. Jabar, I arrived just in time. They battled on the stone bridge, surrounded by fire and screams. Their swords rang like bells of fate. Then, with a twist and a cry, Jabari drove his blade through the enemy's chest. The general collapsed. The enemy faltered, and by sunrise, they retreated. The fields were bloodied. The walls cracked, but Bantu stood tall. That evening, the people gathered in the central square. Torches lit the night. Drums beat slow and deep. Jabri stood before them, mask still on. "Will you remove it now?" Lika asked him softly. He shook his head. "This mask is no longer just mine. It belongs to them, to the ones who fight in silence, to the ones who watch while others sleep. I will remain in the shadows, so they don't have to." And so, the masked stranger faded once more into legend. He lived in the forests, on the borders, among the people, watching, guarding, and Queen Malika ruled in peace. Her strength, no longer questioned, but deep in the hills, in a cave carved with ancient runes. A new danger stirred. One older than kingdoms. One that would test even the strongest of blood. Seasons passed, and the kingdom of Bantu healed. Where fire once devoured the fields, green now flourished. Where fear had taken root, hope grew tall and strong. Queen Malika ruled with wisdom and grace, her voice as steady as the drums that beat each morning in the square. The people praised her, but they still whispered of the masked stranger protector of the realm. Spirit of the crown, brother to the queen, yet never seated on the throne. Though peace had returned, Jabari did not. He moved in secret through the forests and deserts, protecting trade caravans from unseen threats, stopping bandits before they reached the border. People spoke of him as if he were two places at once. Some said he was immortal. Others said he had returned to the realm of spirits, but Malika knew better. He watched from afar. Then one night, the stars dimmed. Malika woke from a dream unlike any she had ever had. Her father, King Okoi, stood before her, his robes glowing. His eyes filled with sorrow. "You are not finished," he said. She tried to speak, but no sound came. "A great shadow stirs," he warned. "One that lies beneath our land, older than the crown, deeper than the roots of the baobab tree." Malika woke with sweat on her brow. The next morning, tremors rocked the palace. Not strong, but strange. The earth groaned as if something ancient stirred below, and that night, the stars disappeared again. Villagers from the eastern cliffs brought a terrifying message. "The caves are singing," they said. "Not wind, not birds. A low chant, like the dead are dreaming." Malika summoned the council, Kasomo, the high priestess. The old scholars all looked uneasy. "There are old stories," one whispered, "of the deep one. A spirit bound beneath the mountain, sealed by the first kings. It is said that if the kingdom ever falls to treachery from within, the seal weakens, and we had treachery," Malika murmured. Elder Muta. That night, she left a message in the wind. A prayer carried by drum and whisper. Jabari returned before dawn. He stepped from the mist like the moon from behind clouds. Mask still covering his face, but his presence radiating strength. She hugged him without words. He already knew. They rode together to the eastern cliffs where the old ruins lay. The singing had grown louder. The earth cracked beneath their feet, glowing with faint red veins. "We need to reseal it," Malika said, "like our ancestors did." "But the seal demands a sacrifice," the high priestess said. "One of royal blood. One who has worn the crown, or one who is hidden from it." Malika's heart stilled. Jabari looked at her. She knew what he was thinking. "No," she said. "You've given enough." "This is why I came back," he said softly. "Not to wear the crown, but to save what it stands for." He removed his mask. For the first time, Malika saw him not as the stranger, not as the prince, but as the man her brother had become. Strong, scarred, but free. The ritual began at sunset. The high priestess drew symbols in the earth. The people gathered on the cliffs, their faces painted, eyes solemn. The wind howled. Jabari stood at the edge of the cavern where the seal pulsed like a dying heartbeat. He held out the mask. "This," he said, "was never meant to hide me. It was meant to protect all of you." He turned to Malika. "You are the crown, sister, but I am the shadow that guards it." She wept, clutching his hand. "You will always be my brother," she said, "and you will always be my queen." Then, with a final breath, he leaped into the heart of the mountain. A blinding light shot into the sky. The ground trembled. Then silence. The mask flew back to the surface, carried by a gust of wind. Landing in Malika's hands, the seal was restored. The deep one silenced, and Jabari was gone. The people mourned. Songs were written. Drums beat long into the night. But Malika did not mourn. She lit a single candle each night beside the mask and smiled. Because legends never truly die. They live in the stories, in the shadows, in the quiet steps between danger and dawn. And sometimes, when the night grows dark and the winds howl from the cliffs, villagers say they still see him masked tall. Silent Dash, watching, protecting, a gift that never asked for anything in return. Thanks for watching. Hoped you liked it. If you watched till the end, please comment "end" so that we could understand you were with us till the end. As well as, please let us know, where are you watching from? Before leaving, please hit the subscribe button, comment your thought, and share with your nearest and dearest one. See you in the next one. Until to the next one, stay happy. Goodbye.